What's up, everybody? How are you? Happy Wednesday. There's so much going on in the world today. Listen, uh, I can't call it. I can just tell you about it. With that being said, this is Real Talk Chronicles. I'm your host, Bill Forster, with my co-host, Kevin Branzetti. And we have Richard Williams joining us tonight. And I'm assuming Chuck will be coming in with us later on tonight. With that being said, like always, the show is always sponsored by Soft Illusions Art Gallery. Let me show you some of the Soft Illusion stuff. Sweetheart, can you pull up some of the product right there? The pillows and stuff like that. Of course, the calendars are always great to give to somebody. And um, what else? The magazine, too. You don't have to get the magazines on the other room. Yeah, so Soft Illusions Art Gallery. It's always a good thing to give your wife or a loved one a gift. Birthdays, each month, you can take this off and
Frame it.
frame it exactly. And my wife and her mother, they do so much great. Have pillows with their designs on it. So if you want to support still for Black History Month or just any month, you can always support what my wife and her mother are doing in their art gallery, the Soft Illusions Art Gallery. Also, too, it's also sponsored by the Daily Arts of Survival magazine. I will be hosting one of their Q&As, which is great. We got a great lineup coming up for you for the rest of the month. We have Melba. Turn the volume down on your phone, somebody. Rich, turn your volume on your phone. We have Melba coming up. Okay, let's see. I'm muting myself. We have Melba coming up, and Monday it's a special hour, 8:00. So we have Melba Wilson coming on. She's going to be on the show, which is going to be great. Talking about entrepreneurship, which is going to be a beautiful thing. Roscoe, my man, what's going on? Roscoe, we're going to do a show on undercovers. So we're going to do that one day. I got to get my other people. Vera with the wonderful last name, Forster. Hey, Brenda. How are you, Sister Brenda? Darren, Stefania, everybody, what's going on? This is Real Talk Chronicles. I'm your host, Bill Forster, with my co-host, Kevin Branzetti, and our special co-host, Richard Williams, is in the building. Before I get into what we're going to show, Roscoe, I want you to be on that show. You got to be on that show. Before we get into our show tonight and what we're going to talk about, let me ask Kevin and Rich how they're feeling and how they're doing. Rich, what's going on? Kevin, how are you doing first? How are you, Kev?
I'm doing well, Bill. Good evening. Good evening, everybody.
Good,
enjoying a nice, calm day, and hopefully looking forward to some warmth tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow's supposed to be a hot day. The weather's going up and down, back and forth, and everything with that magnitude. And then, without further ado, let me bring my brother in, my man Richard Williams. And Richard, how you doing, brother?
Man, I'm good.
You ready for some good real talk tonight, man?
You know I am.
Absolutely. Everybody, if you don't know, if you watch it from YouTube, subscribe to the YouTube channel so you can get the notifications every time we go live. If you're watching from Facebook, please, if you're my Facebook friend or you're Kevin's Facebook friend or you're Richard's Facebook friend, go under their share button and share it to your page so everybody can see the content and you can let everybody know what's going on. So without further ado, we left off last week talking about Vincent Simmons and his case. I know everybody was like, I hit you up with the cliffhanger. We're going to show that case again in its entirety from the newscasters at CBS. And then we're going to go into a little short segment and converse about what we think is going on with that case. And then we'll just trickle down into some other stuff that we're going to talk about. So my lovely wife is going to play that clip for us. And we're going to start the show. But yes, definitely, I got some stuff coming up in the future while my wife programs that. And we got, like I said, Melba Wilson. We have Leon Ellis, formerly the owner of Chocolat. He's going to be in. I have some other stuff that I'm doing with some promoters. So right now, we're going to go into this clip, 1425. That's it. And we're going to start this clip right now. So everybody, brace yourself. Let's skip this. Yeah, let's go. What's the volume on this joint? Hold on.
Socks are the #1 most requested item in homeless shelters.
Another sponsor?
Yeah, another
And t-shirts
sponsor.
are #3.
They just got to pay for that.
That's why we make incredibly comfortable socks,
That's it.
underwear, and t-shirts. And we donate one
Get your
for
socks
every
and your
one we
underwear,
buy.
everybody.
We've donated over 50
Don't go out there. Don't go out the
Comfort
house
for you.
drawless.
Comfort for those in need.
Darren Joseph's in the building. We see you, brother.
Comfort for all.
All right.
Get 20% off your first purchase at
That's what we
bombas.com.
like, black and white booties.
Welcome back to
Here we go.
CBS Mornings. We're bringing you the story today of a man who has spent decades in prison for a crime he says he did not commit. His name is Vincent Simmons. He's serving a 100-year prison sentence in Louisiana after being convicted of attempted aggravated rape of two 14-year-old twin sisters back in 1977. But there have always been unanswered questions in this case, and a judge is about to rule on whether Simmons will get a new trial. Lead national correspondent David Begnaud spent months reporting on this story, and he's got some new developments that could change this case. David joins us now. Good morning to you, David.
Good morning, Gail. What you are about to hear, the jury never heard. Starting with the initial report that the twins gave to police about who they say sexually assaulted them. A questionable photo. The forensic exam conducted by a doctor on the twins. And then we have an explosive revelation that no one has heard until we started investigating this story. In the rural center of Louisiana, there has been a haunting question hanging over Marksville for decades. Did Vincent Simmons get a fair trial in 1977 when he was convicted of a heinous crime against 14-year-old twin sisters?
He raped two of us, and he put us in the trunk to die. He had me write our names down, and he told us he was going to kill us. And we believed every word of it. And we were not going to tell anyone. Our plan was we were going to die with this.
But 2 weeks later, word got to the sheriff. And that is when Karen and Sharon Sanders reluctantly reported some details, claiming they were forcibly taken by a black man to a country road and sexually assaulted for 3 hours in a car that belonged to their 18-year-old cousin, Keith Laborde, while he was locked in the trunk.
We called him Simmons all night. There's so many things about that night. He gave us his name.
When you were questioned by the sheriff,
Yes.
you never gave the name Simmons.
No, we did not.
You never described what he looked like.
No, we did not.
You said all
Blacks look alike.
And you said all N-words.
That's right. Sure did.
So how are we to square the fact that that night you couldn't explain anything? You didn't have his name, you didn't know what he looked like, but now you're telling me today, and you testified at trial, that his name was Simmons.
That's right.
How does that happen?
Okay, this is how it happens. We had all three swore to each other that we would not tell a soul.
May I ask you, with all due respect,
Yes,
why did you make that pact to not say anything? Why
We
wouldn't
were
you
scared.
immediately report it?
because we were scared. He told us that he had friends and that he would come back to kill us if we told anybody.
67 days after he was arrested, Simmons, who was known to police as a petty thief, was sentenced to 100 years in prison, convicted at 25 years old of attempted aggravated rape by a jury of 11 white men and 1 black woman.
The first thing I want to say to you is that I know my client is innocent.
Justin Bonus is the latest attorney to take up Simmons' case. He filed a motion to have Simmons released.
This was a legal lynching.
He is waiting for a Louisiana judge to rule next week on whether or not Simmons is entitled to a new trial.
There's no physical evidence that connects him to that crime. There's no blood. There's no semen. There's no hairs. There's nothing. Sharon talks about bleeding all over the car. Karen talks about a violent rape. Where's the evidence in the car? Where's the blood in the car? There's nothing that supports a crime happened, and there's definitely not anything that supports that a black man committed the crime.
This is important for the viewers to know. A month or so ago, the DA offered to release him, but he wanted him to register as a sex offender. And what did Vincent say to you?
No,
Why?
he didn't do this.
So he turned down freedom
Correct.
because a sex offender registrant meant that much to him
Correct.
that he didn't want to do it.
Correct. Because he's not a sex offender.
This is the man who offered to release him, the current district attorney, Charlie Riddle.
Why did you offer to release Mr.
Because today
40 years would probably be the sentence that we would request in a case like this. This box, this.
Instead, Riddle is now left to defend a case that, based on new information, raises more questions about whether Simmons is guilty. Years after going to prison, Simmons obtained the district attorney's evidence file about the case. In it, he claims he found a revealing medical report from the local coroner, a trained doctor who examined the twins. That report was never introduced at trial. One of the attorneys, who was Vincent's defense attorney at the time of trial, says they never knew that the coroner said you were a virgin, that the coroner said there was no evidence of sexual assault found on either one of you.
Okay, well,
They didn't know that.
well, it's 2 weeks later, and it's still not important. The fact is, he still attempted, and he wasn't successful, so he still raped me, and he did rape her.
So how do you react, though, when the report essentially says
I
there
don't
was
care,
no
because
evidence of sexual assault?
Because it doesn't matter. There was.
Because we know.
By now, I think if we were lying, we would have given up. But I'm not giving up.
In 1994, Simmons took the medical examination report to a parole board.
We didn't have none of this evidence. None of this evidence was presented before the jury because the DA had it in his file. It testified before the jury that they were brutally raped. They repeatedly asked them, would they be able to identify this person again if they saw him? They say no, because all blacks look alike.
And he presented another piece of evidence that he found in the file. He says this is a lineup photo showing him in handcuffs.
This is a joke. It's a joke. It doesn't get any more suggestive than this.
Did the two of you and Keith all pick Vincent Simmons out of the lineup?
Yes, we all three did.
The lineup shows him in handcuffs.
Yeah, it sure does. And that's been a big problem because when we picked him, he was not in handcuffs.
I'm telling you that the deputies that were there and present and the victims say that he was never in handcuffs when they identified him.
So is it possible that you made a mistake when you picked him in the lineup?
David, I have lived 44 years with his face in my brain. And there's no way that I would have spent 44 years if I had the slightest doubt in my mind that I did not have the right man in prison.
We wanted to speak with the prosecutor who got Simmons convicted about allegations that he withheld evidence that may have exonerated Simmons. David Begnaud here for Eddie Knoll. Though he repeatedly declined to speak with us, former District Attorney Eddie Knoll says in a sworn affidavit that the defense had access to the entire file. He says he is convinced the evidence supported Simmons' conviction. And about that photo, he says he was told it was taken after the lineup.
So it was information that is explosively helpful for a lawyer to use.
Before she became a Louisiana criminal court judge, Lori White represented Simmons and tried to get him a new trial.
It was pretty clear to me that the defense did not have information to impeach the witnesses. They did not have the police report. They did not have that photograph of a physical lineup. They did not have what was a rape kit at that time for the coroner to have physically looked at the two alleged victims. Had a jury heard, I don't think they would have convicted, or they would not have convicted perhaps of that charge.
He did it. He just didn't. You know, I have it.
It is among 16 unsuccessful attempts to get his conviction tossed out.
The board has voted this time to deny your request for parole.
Now it is Attorney Justin Bonus's turn. You already have a judge who said to you on the record that Mr. Simmons was convicted without the total picture. Do you believe you're on the verge of getting a new trial?
I pray that I am. I don't know what to believe. Until it happens, I don't know what to believe.
Attorney Justin Bonus has told the judge overseeing the case about what he calls explosive new evidence from a sworn affidavit made by Keith Laborde's cousin, Dana Brouillette. Dana Brouillette says long after the trial, Keith admitted to me that Vincent Simmons did not rape Sharon and Karen and did not put them in the trunk of the car. Dana Brouillette goes on to say, he told me that he had had consensual sex with one of the girls and locked the other in the trunk while he was on Little California.
Oh my God, she is a sick woman. She has no clue.
Say that was the truth. And they believe that really happened. Why didn't they go report it?
Hello, Mr. Laborde.
My name is David Begnaud with CBS News. Keith Laborde was not home when we stopped by. By phone, he refused our request for an interview. He insisted that Simmons is guilty, and he says he did not have sex with Karen. The sheriff asked you if you had been sexually involved with Keith, and you told him no. It's an uncomfortable question. So I'm pausing because I don't even like it.
Go for it.
I know you're already there. I know.
It's fine.
Did you have consensual sex with Keith Laborde?
We were kids.
Yes, ma'am.
We experimented. So yes, if that's consensual, if that's whatever word you want to put to it.
This happened before you say Vincent Simmons raped you.
Yes.
How old were you when it happened?
I don't know, 9, 10, maybe.
And is this the first time you're saying this publicly?
Yes, it is.
That's as newly discovered evidence as it gets, man. And it's out of the horse's mouth. She's no longer a victim. My client's a victim. It's evidence that Vincent, at trial, his defense attorneys would have ran to that so fast, they would have blamed Keith. Now that we know that this guy was preying on her, and she, for the first time, reveals this, it calls into question everything that she said before. Everything.
One thing has nothing to do with the other thing. Yeah, we were young, we experimented, but that has nothing to do with what Vincent did. That's two separate incidents. That's two separate things.
The twins insist they are the victims, wounded by what happened, and they blame the legal system for not ensuring that Simmons' unanimous conviction was irrefutable. They know the challenge that they're facing.
My thing is this, because of what maybe should have been done, that wasn't done, the things we should have said, and we didn't say,
also,
and what we didn't say.
our word is against his. There's no evidence,
And
so it would be hard to fight it.
If the judge orders a new trial, are you both willing to testify at the trial?
Oh, absolutely. I will testify.
Karen?
No.
I'm not doing it. I've already been there. We've done this. Why am I going to put myself in that position again and take the chance of him walking out?
Because right now, anyway, we're at a 50-50 that he could walk out anyway. So if we go to court, we're still at the same odds.
I'm not going to put myself and my family back through that
Because
either, Sharon. Don't you get it? It doesn't matter.
Because if we don't and we back down now, then it gives the world more of an opportunity to say they're lying, and that's why they're backing down.
Sharon,
They don't
it doesn't
want to
matter
fight it
anymore. The world's going to think what they want to think. No matter how hard we fight, it doesn't matter.
It does matter.
It doesn't.
I want him to be miserable for the rest of his remaining days.
Sharon, guess what? There's coming a day when he'll stand before God and he will be miserable. He's already been judged guilty. He will die guilty. And when he goes and he stands before the Lord, he will still be guilty. Okay?
All right, Karen.
So here's what happens next. Next Monday, a judge will decide whether or not to grant Vincent Simmons a new trial. That judge has already said that there's a constitutional violation in which Simmons was convicted without all of the evidence being given to his defense team. If the judge declares a new trial, sources say the district attorney will not retry Vincent Simmons because he believes he'd probably lose.
So let me get this straight. Keith is the cousin?
That's right.
And originally it was reported that Keith was locked in the car.
That's right.
And now we're finding out that Keith had apparently had sex with one of the sisters that was never revealed.
Karen says that. Keith denies it.
There is a air of racism that hangs over this whole case. I'm curious whether the sisters said to you in a different clip that, oh, they're not racist. Yes, they use the N-word. Yes, they said all black people look alike, but that's not them. Did they deny that in any way?
The sisters do not believe they are racist. They admitted saying all black people, all N-words look alike, and they say it without sort of wincing, right? Growing up in South Louisiana, I can tell you back in 1977 with the KKK where it was, there definitely are hints of racism in various parts of the state. Was racism baked into this? One of the jurors, the only black woman who was on that case, says when she walked into the room, she said, the white men looked at me and they said, doesn't matter what you think. he's guilty.
I'm still stunned by the cousin revelation. I find
Everybody
that,
too.
yeah, I'm
That's
still stunned
everybody.
by that.
And no physical evidence
To connect them.
Well, everybody, you got to see exactly in its entirety what we were talking about before. So that's the crazy aspect of this case. Now we'll discuss it. I want to find out what's your take on this. I know everybody just bringing in my man Chuck Richards, who been here and everywhere. He's like Sabar Fair lately. What's going on, Chuck? How you feel, brother?
I'm good, brother, man. I'm sorry, man. I got so much going on, brother.
No, it's all good, brother.
It's
Listen,
crazy, man.
Money ain't made in the house all the time. Only if it's Real Talk Chronicles. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, Chuck, I'll start with you, then I'll go to Kevin, and then I'll go to Rich. And everybody, please, thanks to everybody that's chiming in and watching. And Malika and I were sitting in the back. We were just like looking at this, like, really, this is some crazy shit. Chuck, give me your take on it. Then I'll go to Kevin, then I'll go to Rich. And just like, what do you say? And then I'm gonna give my last take on it because I got some. I'm gonna drop a bombshell on this shit right here tonight for that. So go ahead, Chuck. What you take from what you saw with these people?
Well, I mean, I think I might have caught it practically in the middle of the clip, but I just want to make sure I got my facts right. So these are two twins that were saying they were abducted by a black guy, thrown in a car, and subsequently they were raped. Am I correct?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's it in its gist. Okay, and then now it's found out later there was certain information that wasn't given to the defense that the prosecution was aware of. Some of the mitigating factors that would have probably changed the outcome of the court case. And then you also found out that one of the twins has been doing a nasty with someone since she was 9, right?
Her cousin.
Right, with a relative since she was 9.
Yeah.
And so, and she's saying they experimented. No, that's not experimentation.
Yeah.
That's doing the nasty. I don't know if nobody said, let's just be clear.
Yeah.
Let's cut to the chase, all right? So now you have her saying very clearly, no, she's been having sexual contact with someone since she was 9, right? And then supposedly this brother, and they all make admissions that they say very clear that all niggas look alike, and so on and so forth. Okay.
Absolutely.
So it is apparent to me from where I'm sitting, and I know, without even conjecture, that one, this brother obviously, for whatever reason, why he was picked out, because all Negroes look the same, obviously didn't do this. 2, there's a certain amount of information that wasn't provided to the defense that should have been given to the defense, which probably would have been would have definitely swayed the jury in another direction. But when you got an all-white jury that's even telling another juror who's black that no matter what the case may be, this guy's guilty, he unfortunately, no matter what, there was a nail in the coffin before the case even started. And that's what I have an issue with, on top of, the two nasty cousins, whatever the case may be. But the issue is that the overall jury was already tainted from the onset based on where it was, only having one black juror, and no matter what information probably would have been given, even if all those other factors would have been given at that particular time, that brother still would have been incarcerated. He still would have went to jail, and he still would have been found guilty.
Yeah, absolutely. Kev, what's your take on it, brother?
I mean, besides that, it's disgusting. The fact that we're not even talking about that every prosecution conviction this attorney had should have been reviewed now over and over again. Because if you think they did it once, you're out of your mind, right? This is not the only guy that they railroaded, and that town department prosecutor, right? The odds of that being the only one is nearly impossible. I am glad to see that it looks like on Monday he was freed.
I think so.
And when do you? We watched this last week. It's good. I mean, it's good to know he's free. When he was offered to be freed, and was but he had to register as a sex offender, and he said not a chance. When do you get that?
Exactly.
Like, God bless him for standing by his convictions. I don't know if that's the right word for this then, but
just by his morals, his moral compass.
He stood by what's his. What I'd like to see is him personally sue them, because in a civil court, it's a different, proof. They'd have two choices: either just forfeit and lose, or all of these things, more stuff would wind up coming out. That the cousin and these two couldn't hide from.
Yeah, it's crazy, bro. Yep. Rich, what's your take on it, man?
I mean, this stuff been going on with black folks since we got here. A white woman says we did something, we did it. That's just that plain and simple.
Yeah.
If they say we did it, we did it. It doesn't even make a difference that the evidence doesn't even say you did it. Just because they said you did it, that's it. Yeah. And as far as the jury is concerned, when they said that the black woman, she said that when she came, or whoever the black woman or man came in, and they said it doesn't make a difference what you said. How does that work? I mean, I thought you had to have all the juries say that you're guilty in order for that to happen, for you to become guilty, right? I'm just saying.
He said guilty, and I think they, out of fear, she said guilty. She was afraid of them.
Yeah. Okay, so
said it. It wasn't one. It was 12-0.
So that's jury tampering then, within the jury pool itself, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So now, the other thing that kind of confused me is that they said a doctor examined both women and saw that they were both still virgins. Am I correct?
Oh, I missed that part.
What? Say it again, Rick?
In the beginning, they said a doctor examined the two girls, and they said that they were both virgins.
One was. I think it was one.
One. I think one was. I'm
talking about what the doctor
said.
Yeah.
But I'm saying that's what the doctor report said was one. The one who didn't have sex with her cousin.
Yeah. I think they used her vagina as be all in all. You know what I'm saying?
That's my point. They didn't say that one was a virgin and the other one wasn't. They said they both were. That's what the medical examiner said.
Right.
And then it comes out later that one of them admits to having sex with the cousin, which the cousin denies ever happened. Right?
Yeah.
There's a picture of him in a lineup with handcuffs on.
That's crazy.
Yeah, but this is the type of practice that is, I mean, unfortunately, is normal when it comes to prosecuting cases with people of color.
Yeah, I mean,
that case is like, I mean, that's one case of maybe hundreds of thousands.
Yeah,
I mean, that's what it is. I mean, he's lucky he wasn't someplace like Emmett Till,
He got
when he went to his house and get him.
Yeah,
and he wouldn't even see a jury.
And that was in 1955, Emmett Till. That was crazy thing.
But just think about it. Emmett Till made news, but how many more cases like that occurred that never made the news?
Right.
Look at Rosewood, the county of Rosewood.
Yeah.
That town was destroyed based on this whole white woman thing. I believe the whole thing in Texas and in Houston, Black Wall Street.
Yep. That was another thing.
Yeah, from a white woman. Now, Kevin, you made a point that what you think is there should be some civil action taken against this person, these people rather. Now, I mean, that's all that we ever could get is civil action. What about prosecuting the people that made these false allegations and everybody that's involved that participated in covering up evidence, jury tampering? These things aren't addressed.
I'm for that too.
But that's not the conversation. Nobody's talking about that. Hey, just give them some money, and that's it. No, something's got to change in the whole approach. I mean, I was in I used to avoid jury duty, right? And finally, I said, I got to go. So I went, grand jury. So I'm in the grand jury and I'm listening to the stuff that's going on. And most of the grand jury was all white, And I'm listening to the prosecution plead his case about why this case should go to trial. And then they present evidence on both parts. The defense can present, evidence or whatever. But I'm listening to testimony that made no sense. And when I talked to the other jury pools, their response to me saying, well, but that makes no sense. Their response is, well, if the cop said that's what happened, that's what happened. Even if it made no sense. So right away, it's going to trial. Whether it makes sense or not, because their objective is to incarcerate that individual. And unfortunately, by and large, it happens to people of color. So,
Kev, I'll let you respond before I say what I want to say. If you want to say anything in regards to what Rich was saying.
I mean, look, I've had a lot of experiences, like I'm sure Bill and Chuck, we've all had a lot of experience with grand juries. And there are good ones and bad ones in both directions. The thing, though, with a grand jury, at least, it's just to determine if there's enough. So you still need a judge to say there's enough probable cause to go forward. You need the grand jury. You need the trial. You need hearings. There are a lot of other steps. A grand jury is just a very preliminary, very quick overview. Is there enough kind of thing? It's the rest.
But Kevin, you're saying if it doesn't make it out of the grand jury, the judge can still prosecute it.
No, it doesn't make it out of grand jury. It's dead.
No, it has to be a true bill.
But that's my point.
A judge can still kill it.
No, what I'm saying to you is,
overturn
if the grand jury says it's not going further than this,
dead.
A judge can't do anything about it, right?
Correct.
So, but to my point, the grand jury is most of the time predominantly, well, my history is Caucasian, because a lot of black folks simply don't want to show up in court for no reason.
I would say historically for me, and all my grand juries are in Manhattan, there is definitely a fair to large percentage of black people in the grand jury. I've seen. Bill and Chuck, I don't know if you recall different. We're also talking 10 years ago.
Let me just say, for my take, Manhattan, you have grand juries that I've actually served on, and not even just witnessed. You've had predominantly more Caucasians, but you've had maybe a sprinkle of Latin or other nationalities that may have been Greek or other things, but not predominantly white, but a pinch of Spanish, a pinch of black. Now in the Bronx, where in the latter part of my career I did a lot of my testimony, it was predominantly black and Latin for the cases that I sat on, where ethnicity, I will say this, will gauge how the verdict will go. Because like I said, in Manhattan, depending on who serves on that jury, will have a certain ideology and a feeling about it, where in the Bronx, the times that I've sat on trials and case in grand juries, they may have been like, let me tell you something, to get a true bill in a grand jury in the Bronx, you definitely had to, it wasn't as hard as getting a verdict during a trial. Basically, if you like, we caught the guy with 300 bags of crack, and he had on blue, and undercover bought from JD Blue, and JD Blue served him, and we got the pre-recorded bond money. You're going to get a true bill in that. Now going to trial, I've been on a trial where we lost a case where the guy mistakenly put over that he had a black hat and it was a blue hat. And the trial, the people threw it out. And I was like bugging, because you're talking about the color of a blue and black. How close is blue and black together? You know what I'm saying? We're not talking about white and gray. I mean, we're not talking about white and black or something like that. And they threw it out. So I have seen where jurors of color are just like, nah, that's the cop shit. He's free. They messed up. They got it. Where in New York, they're gonna be like, well, okay, they can make a mistake between blue and black. You know what I'm saying? In the color of a hat, navy blue is so close to black, depending on the color scheme. You know, they're going to give you the benefit of the doubt. In the Bronx, they're not. I haven't had. I don't think I've been on trial in Brooklyn and Queens. Maybe Queens, but nothing long and tedious. But Brooklyn, and I haven't been on a trial in Staten Island, so I don't know what they do out there. So I mean, due to the ethnicities of who sits on these things, will change the verdict and things like that. With that being said, I'm going to read some of the comments and then I wanted to give my take on what I saw this evening. Somebody said good. Kevin Graves said good evening, everybody. Roscoe said you can indict a ham sandwich in the grand jury. Norm Davis says it's not always the grand jury. A lot of district attorneys push for trial. Nate Crawford said, Richard, if they were to revisit most of these cases, the jails would be empty. Christopher Pringle says the case, like all others which involve black men being wrongly arrested and convicted, is rooted within a criminal justice system that's broken. Roscoe said money is always used in an excuse remedy, not acceptable. Liar ruin real people's lives and reputations. Nope, not cool. Shout out to Sylvia Hockaday in the building. Roscoe also says, my thing is that what the judicial system does give the option of freedom, but you have to register as a sex offender. That be itself an admission to be used as guilt. Of course it is. And that was a great thing. Like you said, you referred to Kevin as him not taking that guilt, because that was like, yo, I didn't do it, and I'm not going co-sign to that. And the carrot is dangled to grasp the desperation of a chance for an accused man having freedom. Come on, exactly. Nate Crawford also said, what needs to happen is that all three kissing cousins and the prosecutor needs to go to jail, go to prison. Tracy Morton says, yes, you're correct. They did say the one was a virgin. Norm Davis also says there was never been a trial of a person of color where there's a jury of our peers. Yeah, a lot of times, very seldom do we get a job where people of color are our own jurors. Paula said, I'm totally disgusted and appalled at this judicial system. Tracy Morton says, I'm still in shock about this case. You just can't make this shit up. Paula says, in what country do you give a person 100-year sentence for rape and the victims are still living? Nate said, what's up? Tanisha Leah, she said, the effing period, excuse my French. I got you, niece. Roscoe Brown said, just let you guys know, all of you're awesome. Real Talk Chronicles. Thank you. Appreciate you. Stefania said, if you can sleep with your cousin, then I'm not believing a thing you say. Very big thing. Roscoe also said, remember, it took them damn near 3 months to bring the case to court. Tried to hide, cover up what really happened. Let's all evidence be heard. We all know the lady lied about the details of the Emmett Till case. Yes. Norma Davis said, it's a shame how black men's lives can get ended without them dying. I see Jacob Inger in the building. Shout out. We talked about the magazine, Daily Arts of Survival. He's one of the creators of that magazine. Shout out to you in the building, brother. Shout out to everybody that's watching this Real Talk Chronicles. I'm your host, Bill Forster. I got a good panel today with my co-hosts. I got Chuck Richards in the building. I got Kevin Branzetti, and I got Richard Williams in with us. Now, let me give you my take on what I saw. I'm gonna try to break this down from all kind of angles of this shit, everybody. So stay with me on this. First and foremost, I saw some real hillbilly shit, right? And I say hillbilly not in the disrespecting of any hillbillies, but some real backwoods shit. I use the terminology. You got kissing cousins, fondling and playing with each other, doing all kind of hanky-panky and shit in the woods, right? Now, mommy and daddy's like, Jeffro, you out there playing with Karen and shit. Now, wait a minute. Oh shit. You done popped that little ugly cherry. We got to blame it on somebody because somebody, I can't get in trouble. Oh, there go Vincent down the street. He's the common criminal of the neighborhood. Everybody knows he's the number runner or whatever he does. We'll blame Vincent. He already got a little record, petty larceny or whatever he does. How do you put one cousin in the trunk, and have sex with the other one, right? And that's okay. And then all of a sudden we're gonna pick Vincent, and then you all make a little declaration of pact, like you remember when we was kids, you prick your finger and say, "Yo, we brothers and family," and you prick your finger. Everybody touch each other, blood shit. You know what I'm saying? Nobody doing no shit like that.
Blood brothers.
No, but I ain't never did no shit like that.
But back there, he was like, "Yo, we family. Let me fondle you, and I'll fondle you back. All right, you touch me, I'll touch you." Because she said, "Yo, we were kids, so if we had sex, then that's what we did. We was kids. What kind? 9 years old, you little freak? Are you kidding me? What happened to just let me see it, and I'll let you see mine and shit." You remember when we was kids, you was so happy you run out, you touch a girl, you ready, look, and you go to your friend, smell. You know what I'm saying? Yo, they out here actually. What in the dagnammit shit is going on up there in Mississippi? You know what I'm saying? So now here I go, and I'm sitting back and I'm looking at this interview, right? All blacks look alike. Okay, we got that. You don't even know who the hell you calling out of the lineups. You just saying all kind of shit. But which I really wanted you guys to think about, and I'll send it to you privately. We won't go back into it. Think about when he asked them the question. He said, "Hey, Gina Simmons in the building." He said, "Will you testify again?" One said yes, and the other one said no. Then you saw the exchange between them two. My personal feelings, they're in a relationship. They're walking down the street holding hands during the interview. And then that exchange, that wasn't an exchange of sisters. That was an exchange of relationship. How come? Why not? Oh, I'm not doing this again. He's guilty. He'll go but from God. No, you'll go but from God, you piece of shit. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Hey, Bill, I picked up on that too. But my interpretation of that was the one that was screwing the cousin. She's just saying, "I'm not lying no more."
No, that's what I'm saying. She was like, "Yo, my coochie ain't lying. It's old. It's old. I got old." Yeah. And listen, if you look at it, I think one, and this has nothing to do. Everybody, please. I think one right now is gay. I don't know if that changed her sexual preference over the years, but one was a little harder than the other one, a little aggressive. That's neither here nor there. But I'm talking about in lieu of the way they're interacting with each other. One was more of a dominant a sister than the other. One was a more feminine one in how they postured their conversation. I don't know if with anybody else. Tracy, you said you saw that. Norman says, "Chuck, what's your spin on it?" And Kev, what's your spin on it? Go ahead, Chuck.
Well, I mean, it's apparent that, from where I was sitting, it's apparent that one seems to be more of a dominant figure than the other. One seemed a little more brazen than the other. One seemed to be a little more feminine than the other. The issue is that it also appeared that throughout the course of that dialogue, and when all was said and done, the dominant one was able to persuade her very clearly, "We ain't doing this again." And she said, "Oh, okay, I guess so," which leads me to believe from childhood, has that always been the case? Has she always been able to get her and to persuade her to make certain admissions or to say certain things in support?
Well, Chuck, that's the one that like touching her cousin, playing with her cousin and shit. So yeah, I don't know who was yo, fellas, I don't know which one was locked in the trunk, but yeah, I don't even make light of this shit.
Listen, I think the cousin locked in the trunk.
Little old freaky deaky right there. She was like, "Yeah, I do, yeah. If that's what it is, you're 9 years old, you little freak." You know what I'm saying? Knock it off. Yo, Kev, what's your thoughts on this, man?
So I was looking at a few things as we were talking. At the time this happened, they were 14. The cousin was 18. So he's been having sex for years.
We need to bring him up and interview all his cousins because he's been touching them.
Now, if I have this right, I believe Karen is the one who, because I'm looking at a picture and their names are underneath, and I'm hoping they're right. So Karen is the one who said she won't testify again.
Yeah. She probably wasn't touched.
Sounds like Karen convinced her at the time to lie.
Right.
So Karen's having sex with a cousin. Something happened. They're getting caught. Maybe she got pregnant. Maybe somebody saw something. I don't know what it was. They're getting caught, and they had to come up with a story.
Mm-hmm.
And she convinced her sister to say, this is what happened. You were raped. Later on, Sharon's proven she's a virgin. So,
Yeah. So I guess, Kev, she was the one, she was locked in the trunk. You know what I'm saying? Did we lose you, Kev? Eugene?
I think it's 2G is kicking in.
Everybody, Kevin is 2G right now. He's caught in a moment. So yeah, Rich. I mean, like Rich and Chuck. Until we get Kev back out of his end game, his pose and shit.
Hey, listen, my thing is, I think that because I'm still confused. Like the cousin, right? The other guy, was he there supposedly in the trunk with them, or it was just the two girls in the trunk?
No,
where does he
was in the car. It was his car, Rich.
Where was he at? Was he in the trunk, or was he sitting in the front seat watching the whole thing?
He probably was touching that little 9-year-old girl.
But that's why I wasn't clear on that testimony as far as what part did the male cousin play while this was going on. Is he a witness to it? Was he there?
Kevin, we was cutting you up, yo.
Well, we was cutting you up, man.
I had my phone on. I heard.
All right, yo, you had your Doctor Strange pose on your.
It could have been worse, but yeah, it was bad.
But fellas, listen. This should be leading into a conversation about what do you do to people that commit those heinous crimes against people that cause them a whole life in prison. I mean, we talking about what? We talking about it happened. It happened. The guy is, I guess he's out now, but there was a crime committed against this man's life. He spent his whole life in prison and probably went through all kind of atrocities while he was in there. Because years ago, rape crimes was looked down on in prison. Mm-hmm. You rape somebody, they want to rape you in jail.
Right.
But this guy spent his whole life in jail, and now he's home. These women are walking around, holding on to this lie. It doesn't make any sense. The discussion should be revolving around what do we do with cases like this? Because anytime you have a situation where law enforcement plays a part in incarcerating someone, they don't try to reverse that, because then all the other cases that officer was involved with gets looked at. So
let me just say this, Rich. When we find from my experience, and fellas, chime in on this, correct me if I'm wrong, or what you're hearing and stuff like that. When we find that another officer has been brought up on some kind of charges of perjury or anything of that magnitude, they have to look back at all the cases.
Yeah.
And let me tell you something.
New York City. That's
New York City. And let me tell you something. You might as well say all them people are going free.
Yeah.
You're not going to hear it, but all those people are going free, because if like that recently, that detective, that how many cases, over 100 cases with him or something like that. Listen, everybody's coming out of jail, like, even if he did do the right thing. So I get what your point is, Rich. The bottom line is, we need to go back and look at cases of officers that have committed perjury, because the one thing that Kevin always says, and I respect him so much when he does that, because I know it eats him up, because a lot of times, and we will show something of that later on in the show tonight, is that he hates bad policing because it puts a black eye. What happens in New York will happen all over the world. Everybody officer will get judged for it. What happens all over the world will affect New York. So I get what you're saying, Rich. Listen, you make a mistake, yo, all your cases come to trial. Now, what are the repercussions that should happen going forward? Should that pension be taken or something like that? You understand what I'm saying? Because the bottom line is freeing all the people that he incarcerated or he took to trial. That's a pro bono. That's going to happen. But now, what's the repercussions of that person besides going to jail? Because I think, Cheryl White, what's going on, sis? A lot of people are not feeling the blunt of those situations because, you can't give back. I think I was looking at a case, and then we're going to move on to some other stuff. And then I'll give the fellas, everybody a chance to comment on this. I don't know if there's a certain amount of money rewarded to a person like Mr. Simmons. In this case, he's probably going to get some money. What amount, what denomination will he get? Who determines that? You know what I'm saying? Like it's not like 10 years to get you 3 mil, 15 to get you 7. You know what I'm saying? 20 will get you 40. You know what I'm saying? I don't know the numbers on that. So how do we determine that? Go ahead, Kev. I'll let you say.
There is a formula, sort of, but yeah, they'll figure out previous ones and they'll go with it. Historically, and look, this happens with false accusations, false complaints. We don't do it. Law enforcement in general does not go after people for false complaints, false accusations. They just don't. Prosecutors don't. It's a standard. I've got friends in special victims. It's on average, it's 50% turn out to be lies. They don't go at because they don't want to put the thing has always been we don't want to put fear into people from coming forward and testifying, right, about a case, about something that's out there. We've Chuck, Bill, and myself. I'm sure all three of us. I'm sure we've all had false accusations made against us. It's part of being a cop.
Absolutely. Yep.
And it's determined it's false. It's completely false, figured out very easily, quickly, simply. That person will never be charged. We've seen Bill firsthand of somebody accusing somebody of rape. Who we worked with, and it was completely false, and she was not charged.
Yep, absolutely.
I'll give you an even better example. During my early years as a police officer, my face was put in a photo array indicating that I had committed robberies in the Bronx and in Brooklyn, and supposedly committed manslaughter on
Babyface Fenster, you
right?
Little
And
bastard.
I was a police officer, right? They put my face in the lineup. And subsequent to this particular complainant, after they took me through a year of me being suspended and me being indicted in the Bronx and the indictment finally being thrown out, when they got him in the grand jury, they asked him, why did he make these? Well, first, it was perjury, 1. And then 2, when they finally got him in the box and asked him exactly why he made these admissions, he says, oh, because the friends that was with him, they yelled at me. They yelled at him. So he made up this particular lie, stating that not only did I rob him at gunpoint, but I beat the shit out of him. And because of that, when they finally brought him in, it was perjury. He uprooted, pretty much destroyed the lives of myself and my 2 friends. But he was never charged. He was never locked up. He was never arrested. But I dealt with all the brunt associated with that. I had to go through this whole tribunal of trying to prove that I didn't commit a robbery and I didn't beat this guy. And plus, I didn't commit some other crime in another borough.
And you know what's so funny, Chuck? And then I'll let you finish if you want, and then I'll let Rich come in, and then we'll go on. But people don't understand being on the police department in a situation like that. Now you're guilty, and you have to prove your innocence. You're not innocent until proven guilty. like you said, you were suspended. So people don't understand. That is probably the worst case scenario that an officer could live in. Like you saying, you're submitting to go along in a photo array or a lineup, and then next thing you know, somebody's like, "Okay, yeah, that's him."
That's it.
Huh? Like I didn't expect you to say that shit. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
You looking at the sergeant and lieutenant like, "Yo, what part of the game was that?" Like you told me just join the lineup to make a number, and now the dude is picking me out, and now we have to go with that testimony. You can finish that, and then I'll bring Rich in. Go ahead. Uh-huh.
No, I was just I was just adding credence to the claim that when people have committed perjury, and even if it disrupts people's lives, 9 times out of 10, the judicial system is not going to prosecute them. Now, I'm not saying that if the overall lie itself didn't involve someone of influence or someone who has a particular stake in government, who happens to be an uncle or a cousin of some judge or maybe a politician, maybe things might be a little different. But for the most part, they usually don't prosecute anybody who, just for argument's sake, perjured themselves. But of course, a police officer, they're going to take you through the ringer if you perjure yourself. But average Joe, 9 times out of 10, nothing's going to happen.
Right. And like people are saying, I'll let you come in, Rich, and then we'll move on. Like Cheryl White said, wow, unbelievable. That's crazy. Brenda said, that's the problem. He gets off easy. Roscoe, he said, damn, Chuck. Oh, why are you telling my business? And Roscoe, you know what you're talking about. Everybody, I'm going to have Roscoe on the show eventually with another former undercover, and I'm going to do a segment in law enforcement from the undercover's eye, which I was an undercover. So we'll bring you that in March too, on a Wednesday night. Also, Safanya said, wow, that's crazy and very scary. Cheryl White said, exactly. Can you imagine how it is for the wrongfully accused? Absolutely. Rich, give me some. This Green, what's going on? I see you. Rich, give me your closing remarks on this. Yeah.
What Chuck said is like right on point as it pertains to his situation, right? Somebody's phone. Somebody got a mute. I hear a lot of kids or something.
Yeah.
But listen, he was on point with what he was talking about, being accused and all of that. But you got to look at it like this also. You were, at the end of the day, exonerated from that, right? And it was looked at by law enforcement or whoever's in charge of internal affairs or whatever. They did their due diligence and made sure that they crossed their I's and T's and all of that and found that you were innocent, right? But what do you do for a regular citizen when law enforcement and the DA's office are playing a part in fabricating evidence to get you incarcerated? And then you go to jail and through that time, and the evidence is showing when it's looked at with fresh eyes that you should have never been there, and they keep denying it on the premise that if we let this guy go, they're going to look at all the cases that these people participated in, and now we're going to open the floodgates and let all of these people out. So for that guy or woman that was subjected to that, they don't have a chance in hell, of getting free and coming out of this, any kind of way, and it's unfortunate for anybody to go through that whole lie thing, there was I'm gonna try to get this real quick. There was a movie called Doubt about a priest, and it was alleged that this priest was molesting children, right? They were talking about that, so he gave a sermon. In the sermon, he said there was a woman who was talking about a man and saying all kind of despicable things about him, but she was this man, and she was gossiping about him. Later that night, she went to sleep and had a dream that this huge hand of God just came down out of the sky and was pointing at her, just pointing his finger down at her. So it scared her. She went to church the next day and said to the pastor, listen, Pastor, I had a dream that a big hand came out of the sky and pointed at me. And I had said some things about a man that I did not know to be true. Father, will you forgive me? He said, not this easy. He said, what I want you to do is I want you to go home. I want you to go in your bedroom and find the biggest feathered pillow you can find. I want you to go to the kitchen and take a knife. I want you to go to the roof and cut that pillow open and shake it out and come back tomorrow. She comes back tomorrow. She said, Father, I did it. He said, what did you do? I did what you said. I went and got the pillow and took the knife upstairs on the roof and cut the pillow open. He said, you did? He said, good. Now I want you to go back and get that pillow and bring it back to me. She said, Father, I can't. He said, why not? She said, because the feathers, they just blew all in the wind. He said, that's gossip. Because you can never get it back in the pillow. So no matter what somebody says about you, that stuff is out there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, you know,
Well,
I mean,
to Richard's point, first, in terms of that overall, the outcome of that particular case was the police department, because there was a great deal of racism, and there's still racism that maybe it permeates throughout the department. They didn't exonerate me. They actually said very clearly, well, something happened. You did something. Whether or not we can prove it or not is really not something that we're going to investigate any further. Obviously, something occurred. We're not really clear. We're not getting any real clarity on it. So what they did was they have this one particular term. It's called nola contendere. And usually most dispositions, especially when you're talking about internal affairs, there are certain dispositions that are very clear cut, right? Based on substantiated, unsubstantiated, exonerated. But this nola contendere is a gray area. Well, we're not saying you did anything. You're not admitting that you did anything. So that or whatever happened during the course of your suspension, that's all we're going to take away from you. Now, that doesn't clear me. And what you said before, it's like cutting open the pillow and it's like gossip and it goes out there. So after that, every time I ever went for a promotion, every time I went for a unit, every time I got interviewed to go into a unit, this gossip, this piece of paper came up every single time. So even though I might have been sitting next to someone who, in terms of my ability to have that position, and I had all the qualifications, every time I came to the table, tell me about this incident, because this is how it reads on paper. Explain it to me in terms of what it is. So once again, I had to work in the direction of disproving it. And already on paper, they had me guilty. I had to keep saying, no, I'm not guilty of this. And these are the circumstances. These are, you know, so I understand where you're coming from in regards to that. And you're right. And it's a pervasive cycle. And if you put that on a larger platform where it comes to brothers and sisters who are being prosecuted and being sent away and incarcerated on false information, false allegations, the lack thereof, I honestly do believe that there should be something on a prosecutorial level, a different entity, a different group that's sitting in the wing just for incidents that occur like that. So that when cases like that come up and push comes to shove, they find out that there was some ill will associated with that case. It shouldn't be the DA that should prosecute it. It shouldn't be those lawyers. It should go to this unit, which is a separate special prosecutor outside of the DA's office, and they should be the ones that now should go forward to prosecute that case, or to go after anyone who allegedly perjured themselves or didn't divulge certain information that put that person, that human being's life, and incarcerated them for the amount of time they was there.
Chuck, if they would have found evidence and found you guilty, what would have happened?
I've been fired.
Yeah,
I had just cleared probation. But based on the evidence, if they had found that honestly I had done that, they definitely would have fired me. I've been fired.
That's it?
They would have fired me. Yeah,
some of the
because
charges,
the criminal aspect of it, when they realized there was no criminality, they realized the guy lied, and criminally that didn't happen. First, they were waiting for the criminal aspect of it to be pretty much adjudicated. When it was adjudicated that it was all a lie and it was fabricated by this complainant, this is okay. Departmentally, they said, okay, well, he's found not guilty. They dropped everything. in terms of the prosecutorial part.
Yeah, but
right?
some of those charges that you mentioned, if those charges were against me, I would have been incarcerated if I would have been found guilty, not just fired.
Well, but I don't want. I'm gonna let. We can talk about this in a green room, but the one thing, Rich, if it was you, John Q. Public or Jane Q. Public, what would have happened is you would have had to take a plea, or you would have had to still fight and pay a guap of money for a lawyer. The bottom line is because Chuck was already on the job. Once you're cleared of criminally charges, then it goes to department. So Chuck still could have got a hit. And
they did. They offered me 5 to 7 right out of the gate. They told
see, that's
me,
what I'm trying to say. That's what I'm trying to say.
That's the point I was
I'm not
getting
doing
to.
5 to 7.
But that's the point I was getting.
No.
What would be the
They
outcome?
offered me 5 to 7. I fought that. Says no. I didn't do
But
anything.
you have went to jail. That's
Oh,
what
absolutely.
That was the question. Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But that's all I was trying to get to.
No, absolutely. No, Rich, and your point is valid because the bottom line is, as a civilian, you being the only civilian on this, and we always extend the olive branch to anybody. We say this, Kevin has been with me around for about a year now or something. We've always extended the olive branch. Anybody listening, you're always welcome to come on and sit on with us. Rich is part of the Real Talk family right now, but from a civilian standpoint, we need to hear his thought process and gives us good dialogue, because the bottom line is Kevin and I and Chuck, we can give you our perspective from a white man and 2 black men that were law enforcement and all 2 supervisors and 1 detective. But the bottom line is we all understand departmental situations. But
Kevin's white?
Huh?
Kevin's white?
I think he is. Let me see. Throw the flag.
Look at that nose, man. Look at that nose. no, Kevin looking like white.
Yeah. He threw the flag. Yeah. He a little Charlie Chaplin around the sconce. You know what I'm saying? But it is. Listen. See, that's the beautiful thing about us, baby. Everybody, join in on the laughter, because listen, we're here to try to make it a better world. Shout out to everybody that's chiming in. We appreciate you all. I'm gonna read this one comment. Paula said, "This is basically what all governmental agencies. Anyone can make an anonymous call and make up stories, do lies, and when the cases wasn't founded with merit, the caller just goes about their business, which is totally unfair, and they should be prosecuted." And listen, full transparency, everybody. I want to go on to something else, because we could stay here and talk about this. We could talk about this. It's a great run-on conversation. But Chuck was damn near a supervisor on one of my cases where somebody talked about me. And you know what I'm saying? So think about that. Your friend, your dog, has to investigate you and kind of not say anything to you, but like I know this ain't this dude, but I gotta play it by the numbers on the integrity issue. You know what I'm saying? And we living around the corner from each other. Hanging out on Sundays. The bastard, he brought me a beer.
I know you went in on that motherfucker when it was over.
All of the knocking shit on the floor. I wouldn't even. Yo, Rick, I wouldn't take it on you, didn't he? Shit all on the floor.
I was like, you didn't even say that to me.
No, you didn't fucking say that. He was like, yo, I had you, motherfucker.
I told you I had you. I told him I had you. So don't worry about it. I got you. And you know what? And that's funny. That's funny because
my co-host Bill Forster, but my co-host Chuck Richards, my co-host Kevin Branzetti, and our other co-host Richard Williams. Yo, Kev, I need you to go into your archive. I sent you a bunch of stuff, but I need you to tell me which ones are up, because I want to go specifically with a certain thing. I know we got you to a hard 9, so I want to go on and
what's
pick
the
up
specific thing you want.
What I forgot which ones I sent you, so you're gonna have to give me some titles.
Prosecutors request reduced sentence for Kim Potter.
Okay.
Florida cop convicted of shooting an autistic person overturned.
Yeah, we can go. Go ahead.
The Arkansas State Trooper car stop.
I want to show that. And what else is what's the next one?
Something on Instagram. I don't know what it is.
Okay. Let's. It's about the little boy, the white boy and the black boy. We're gonna go back to that, but let's go to the Arkansas state trooper. I want to get your take on that.
Let's get the 2G going.
Oh yeah. Come on, baby. Everybody, this is Real Talk Chronicles. Listen, share it, subscribe to it. Let your friends know, man. Come on. I got Rich, I got Chuck, I got Kev, and you got your boy Bill in the building, baby. Come on. Appreciate you all. What you got, Kev? Yeah, I want to get everybody's take on this shit right here. Let's go. Whenever you're ready, Kev.
All right. I'm sorry. I was just reading a comment about me at a family cookout.
Oh, I didn't hear that. Let me see.
There's a couple of comments about me now because of Rich's. Somebody asked if I was part Sicilian.
Oh, because of your pug nose. Yes, your schnoz. Exactly. You don't have the European schnoz. Exactly. Yeah. Yes. Go ahead.
All right, let's go with this.
Need volume, Kev.
In Arkansas, that is State Police Officer Ryan Wingo.
There's no need for that.
Why are you doing that? He's doing it because his feelings were hurt. And now for this assault, Wingo is getting sued. It is not his first controversy. Last year, he shot to death another motorist. 2 years ago, Wingo fired at a peaceful Black Lives Matter protester, shattering that man's jaw.
Stand up. I'm trying, okay? Come on.
And Wingo has no credibility, as this traffic stop proves.
This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous.
In this incident near Hot Springs, Arkansas, Charles Donner, a U.S. military veteran, and his wife Brittany were driving behind Wingo. The trooper saw somebody speeding the opposite direction and suddenly pulled a U-turn from a driving lane. The Donners honked their horn from behind. Clearly annoyed, Wingo decided to make it a 360, letting the speeding car go and pulling behind the Donners, who were now in front of him. The dash camera audio went on right as Wingo smashed into the back of their car.
Pull into the parking lot. Pull into the parking lot.
The Donners did pull into the parking lot, and the lines from Officer Ryan Wingo began.
Go and send one of the normal units over here to the shoe factory. I had a car slam on the brakes in front of me.
I had a car slam on the brakes in front of me. No, you flashed your lights, and they pulled over, as they're supposed to do.
License registration insurance, sir. Why are you pulling me over? Because you're following me too close and they nearly ran into me. No, I did not. You slammed on the brakes. You had no brake. You had no turn signal, nothing. I had to turn around on the car without speeding. I'm doing my job out here, sir. Give me your license. You hit me. Don't worry. Don't worry. I'll see you in court, dude.
After lying to the Donners, Wingo stepped away from them and lied again to radio dispatch.
I had a car following me too closely, nearly ran into me, turned around, got behind it, and it slammed on the brakes in front of me. I was unable to stop. I was 1038.
But again, Wingo's own rear camera shows the Donners were not following closely. And when Wingo got behind them, his own dash camera shows they did not slam on the brakes.
Okay, you get my car. We're on traffic stop right now. Out here.
I want to see the damage done to my car.
Give me a minute. We're on a traffic stop right now. Once I get done with my traffic stop, for following too closely. I was not following too close. Clearly you were. You hit me. You stopped in the middle of the roadway, sir.
No,
I didn't stop. I got over it and I was in the lane. Trying to speed back up. No, I was trying to speed back up. Okay, so land on your back. Okay, and you hit us. Okay, so okay. Well, I told you I stopped you because you were following me too closely. But I wasn't. Okay. We'll see in court. Okay. Do you have an ID on you, ma'am?
I sure do.
You don't need your ID. Yes, I do actually for the accident report that you so want, sir.
Yes.
I do want it. Okay. You fucking hit me. There's no damage between our vehicles, though. I don't give a. Bro, you hit me. Get out of the car. Get out. Okay. Get out of the car. Okay. Get out of the car. You hit me. There's no need for that.
It's at this point when Brittany Donner started recording with her camera phone.
This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this?
Ma'am, there was no need for cussing me out.
But cussing out a police officer, according to the U.S. Supreme Court, is protected speech and allowed under the First Amendment. Even under Arkansas law, telling a cop during a traffic stop to go f himself is not disorderly conduct.
Until he can calm down and act like an adult, he's going to sit in the back of the car.
Let me explain to you. My husband has severe PTSD. Severe. He's a 100% disabled veteran. And that's not unfair.
You gonna talk to me? You gonna let me talk? Or you gonna interrupt me inside time now?
I'm sorry.
Okay. Until he can calm down and act like a human being and stop cussing me out for no reason. So I'm trying to explain to him what happened. But he doesn't want to let me talk, okay? So do you want to let me talk or not?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Okay. Now.
Back in Wingo's squad car, Charles Donner yelled for a police supervisor and demanded Wingo's name and badge number.
You want to calm down or not? Yeah. This is the biggest loss that we ever going to see. So what's your badge number? I want you to
When another state trooper arrived, Wingo lied again.
He moved straight over from the inside lane to the outside lane. Straight over and slams on the brakes. And I'm just trying to get behind him, and he slams on the brakes. And I didn't even have my life on at that point. He just stops in the middle of the road. I hit him right.
A few minutes later, a state police supervisor got involved.
Doesn't make any difference. And what you did, slam on, I didn't slam on my brakes. That's his word. That's not my right there. That's my fault. I didn't slam on my brakes. It's his I mean, it's all good for recording. Like 1 minute.
The state police eventually released Mr. Donner without charging him with disorderly conduct. But they did issue a citation to him for following too closely and parking on the highway. The Donners have now filed a civil rights lawsuit.
Okay, I'm out of the car.
They're using a GoFundMe page to help cover costs of attorney fees. Legal experts say the case against Trooper Wingo is very strong. They note the evidence is clear that Wingo caused the collision with the Donners, lied about the facts of the encounter both verbally and in his police report, and violated Mr. Donner's First and Fourth Amendment rights. Given Wingo's record, the Donners could consider themselves lucky they were not physically hurt. In June of 2021, Officer Wingo chased down a motorcyclist named Andrew Kemp Jr. Kemp had allegedly been speeding, jumped off of his motorcycle, and ran into the woods. Wingo then shot him to death. There's no video of the fatal shooting, and there were no witnesses, but Wingo insisted that Kemp tried to grab his gun. And a local Arkansas prosecutor said Wingo's use of deadly force was justified. In June of 2020, Officer Wingo was at the state capitol in Little Rock for a Black Lives Matter protest. A man named Don Cook started walking towards police lines, and Wingo fired at him repeatedly with beanbag projectiles, striking Cook in the face. According to the Arkansas Times, Cook has had to undergo 3 surgeries to repair a shattered jaw and broken teeth. And yet, based on Officer Wingo's police report, Cook was charged with obstructing government operations. Controversy seems to follow Ryan Wingo, and it could be argued that he's one of the worst state troopers in America. For now, though, he is still on the job, and the Arkansas State Police are refusing to comment. I'm David Schuster. Thanks for watching.
Well, thanks, Kev. I guess we can see that Officer Wingo is a hot mess, and he's fair. He does it to white people, black people, all kind of people. Officer Wingo is a piece of work, right there. Let me just read a comment real quick from a few people, and I'm gonna start with you, Rich. I'll go to you, Chuck, and then I'll finish with you, Kev. Let's see. I'll put those posts up. Glad for you focus on them. He said, Roscoe said, my man Bill, I put those posts up. Glad you focusing on them. He said, these guys need to realize they are filming themselves. Absolutely. Sister Brenda said this is on video and he's still lying. Exactly. Does the officer have the right to snatch you out of the car? We'll answer that in a minute. Cheryl said, what really needs to happen is these bad officers need not to be protected as they often are and need to be banned from ever working for another police department. I totally agree with that. Veronica, what's going on? Says she said that's horrible. He needs to be fired. Walter Grosver in the building. I'll start with you, Rich. Give me your take. Give me a couple of minutes of your take. Then I'll go to Chuck and Kev because I got some other stuff I want to chop up. Go ahead. Mm-hmm.
All right. Like you said, this guy has a history of doing this, and you pointed out that it didn't make a difference whether he's black or white or whatever like that, right? But I didn't really hear the complexion of the people he shot, right? The person he shot with the gun and killed them, and the person he shot with the bing bag, they didn't say what their nationality is. You can see what the guy was in the car, but this guy, racism, it stretches pretty far. I know just by watching the news, whenever they discuss a perpetrator, if it's a person of color, they'll say he is. If it's a white man, they'll just call him a man. They won't say a white man, they just say man. But anyway, that's something that like the person said, these things need to be prosecuted. When somebody does something like that, such stops like that have cost people's lives,
Absolutely.
So and talking about not protecting a person that would commit that kind of act.
And I agree with you. And I'll go to you, Chuck, but that's something, Kev, that you always said. The news always highlights people of color situations. The white girl in Central Park gets raped. It makes the news all over the world. A person of color gets abducted. It doesn't happen. You've always said that, Kev. And it's factual. And Rich just reiterated that right now. Chuck, what's your take on that?
I also want to piggyback off of the comment that Richard stated. There is no indication, there's no statement associated with the other two incidents. Like exactly what was the race associated with the gentleman that was shot with the person whose jaw was shot?
The person shot and killed was white.
Okay. And did you find out about the bing bag?
The bing bag I haven't found yet, but I found the one.
I knew Stats is going to be,
Yeah, I was on this. Come on.
He's on his shit.
Yeah. Did the white guy look like you?
Is that an all we look alike thing?
No.
Kev, reverse racism. Ain't that some shit?
Yeah, man, for the first time, right? A little reverse racism.
Bill Sharon, that's the guy. And I'm going to go with he kind of does.
And listen, everybody, I'm going to get you with a disclaimer. I reached out to another, and I hate to say this terminology, a white friend, and I'm trying to get him to come on the show because I don't want Kevin to be by himself all the time with you. You know what I'm saying?
Share the screen.
All right.
That's the guy he killed.
Get a real white guy on. This guy's not white, man.
Rich, that's the guy.
Timothy.
That guy could be my cousin.
Jr. Yeah, he could definitely be one of your relatives, man. When I look.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You and Tim. You know what I'm saying?
Wow, man.
I'll find the other one. Sorry. Go ahead, Chuck.
No.
Like I was saying, as a parent, like as far as I'm concerned, he reminds me of a type of police officer that has that Napoleon complex, whereas he came on the job because as a child, maybe he got beat up in class, or maybe he was someone who they took their took his basketball away from him, or maybe they didn't put him on their team when they were playing softball. So now he becomes a police officer, and now he feels, for argument's sake, he rules the world. And now we all know that when we go through our proper training, we have to be somewhat, no matter what, we have to be thick-skinned. And people are always going to say things that are going to be negative. You're going to get cursed out. People are going to call you all types of derogatory, statements and terms. And yes, there's a particular threshold where, it can get the best of you. But I also was looking at the demeanor. It appeared that, I don't know, I get this funny feeling that if that had been someone of color that was having that dialogue with him, I don't know how long it would have taken before he would have dragged him out of the car. I don't know if it would have been the minute he started opening his mouth and he said something like, "No, you hit me. I didn't hit you," if it would have already escalated. Because it appeared that.
Well, yo, Chuck and Rich, we know that wasn't like Richie. What is it? What was his name? Richie?
Oh, yeah.
Yo, Kevin, you remember Richie?
What was that guy?
Jerry.
What was his name?
Oh, Jerry.
Yeah, Jerry. Right, Jerry.
Maybe I'll look for that video just for Richard.
Kev, yeah, look that video for Richard right now,
Jerry.
please. Kev, look that video
I hate that video.
Yeah, no, look that video up right now, please, Kev, please. That's everybody. You got to see what happened to Jerry.
Chase the cop.
Yo, Rich, you got to see what happened to Jerry. Jerry's a monster, yo.
But Bill, I was arrested for just what happened, like what this happened to this guy.
Okay.
I was arrested on 153rd Street and 8th Avenue. Same kind of situation. A cop made a U-turn on me. I made a right turn down the street. I parked, got out of my car. He told me to get back in the car and pull to the other side. I'm like, for what? He on the speaker, get in the car and pull over to the other side. I get back in. I got my kids in the car. I go to pull over. He gets right on my bumper where I couldn't move and says, stop. Now I'm in the middle of the street. He writes me a ticket. I said, what's this for? He said, for being an asshole. I said, fuck you. He said, you're under arrest.
Yeah.
Took me to the precinct.
Yeah, you see, giving out terms of endearment will get you will get you nowhere sometime. You know what I'm saying? And listen, Rich, to be honest with you, in all fairness and in reality, we're not afforded the longitude and latitude of and Kevin knows this of other ethnicities, predominantly Caucasian ethnicities. We can't say FUs and stuff like that. So I mean, because now it becomes a who are you talking to? I want we want to. Is that Jerry, Kev? It's another thing you want to show.
That's the other guy he's accused, the one he shot with the beanbag and broke his jaw.
Oh, okay. So he's an equal opportunity killer. He doesn't care.
He said Black Lives Matter. What? Ow!
Yeah. That's the worst thing. That's the worst thing that poor white man could have said was Black Lives Matter. And he got it. Look at that poor child's face.
Hey, listen, man. When I was in college in Texas, we played a game and the Ku Klux Klan was waiting for us outside, and the coach was scared to death. I said, "What are you scared of, coach? You ain't black." He said, "The worst thing." He said, "Worse than a nigga is a nigga lover." Yeah. And listen, and I always say this to Kevin. I say this to him online, green room, and I said, listen, I know the friends that he has lost doing this podcast in a year. You know what I'm saying? Just for standing for some, and listen, just standing for some truth and justice, because what we've shown tonight in lieu of that Arkansas state trooper, and one of the groups that I found that at, white officers, because and I can say white officers because I click on their pictures to look and see who they are. They said, "Yo, why didn't he comply?" And then you got other white officers saying, "Yo, he's wrong. He's not wrong. Why? What did you see that he's wrong?" And I'm saying to myself, "You are so blue, you're blind." You understand what I'm saying? And that is the problem that lies. And this is why so many people out here dislike law enforcement, for officers like that clown that was saying that disparaging remark. Because the bottom line is, I think all John and Jane Q public wants, I've said this to Kevin and Chuck, and I'll say this to you, Richard, is that you just want to hear other officers say, "Yo, he was wrong." What officers say, "Yo, I don't want to get involved," or "Yo," we say it amongst ourselves. We's like, "Yo, he effed up," but we would not say it to the John and Jane Q public, and that lies the problem. That's the elephant in the room with a lot of things. Kev, what else do you have, brother? You got Jerry yet? Because I want to show.
I'm getting there.
And you know that. Remember we talked about that clip about the guy in Minnesota who got shot 130 something times.
Right.
In a car stop.
Yeah.
I wish you would show that one day.
Oh yeah, we'll definitely do that. Yeah, we can show. Listen, the one thing, and I say this, the one thing Real Talk Chronicles is about is real. We keep it real. We call a spade a spade. Listen, don't.
Why it got to be a spade though?
Listen, it could be a heart. I don't know. I ain't want to try to soften this shit up. It could be a heart. It could be a club. It could be a diamond. You know what I'm saying? You know. I listen, man. Yo, we live in a world where good guys wear black or bad guys wear black. I don't know what the hell to put it. You know what I'm saying? Hold on, Kev. Which one is this, Kev?
Oh, this Jerry.
Yo, Rich, this is strictly for you, everybody. This is a Real Talk Chronicles. This is an RTC moment right now. Sit back, pay attention. This is a exclusive Jerry interview.
Jerry, do what they say.
Jerry's wife's filming it, and you're going to hear her every so often.
Jerry, do what they say. Jerry, do what they say. Jerry. 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 You're going to get hurt, Jerry, if you don't stop.
Help!
You're going to get a charge, Jerry. Stop it.
A charge. That's all Jerry's going to get is a charge.
Jerry.
I'm glad they blurred that out.
Yeah. See Jerry's ass.
You're
I tell you one thing,
gonna get
Jerry's the guy I want with me when I go to a bar because he can fight.
Jerry, they're gonna hurt you. Jerry. Jerry, don't do it. Jerry, don't do it.
Bye, Jerry.
No, he's on the left. Jerry out.
Now, you saw Jerry there, beating cops with their own baton. Jerry was fighting the whole time. We didn't see no guns come out for Jerry. Jerry got up. Jerry got in their car and took off. Still didn't have no guns drawn. You see, you guys have to understand. The police in their history was the original slave patrol. They was created to police white folks. They were.
There's more of the video, but it's not on this show.
No, yo, listen, Jerry's a bad, shut your mouth. You're talking about Jerry, listen, Jerry let you know he get down for the get down. He will fight you. He don't care. You can say his name. His wife was like, Jerry, you're going to get charged. Listen, you know, and all of us know if that was a black, yo, Kev, you was trying to say like, yo, you don't know if that's true, but listen, we know if that was a Bill or Rich or Chuck, there was a bullet coming for our ass not too in the near distant future. Because let me tell you something, that was hilarious. Jerry is a bad, shut your mouth. We talking about Jerry, you know what I'm saying? I buy Jerry a beer. Roscoe said Ben saw this and the difference between the scenarios. If that was a black man, boom, shot dead. Roscoe, I'm getting always go and will forever stand for justice for all. If you're wrong, you can be strong, and don't back bullshit up. Everyone makes them a poor judgment on their own and move on and learn from their situation. My girl Janice said the things is, look at how he handled that situation. He went from 0 to 100 just because the guy's cursed. He's not an officer of the law. He's talking about the Arkansas guy at this point. He's a civilian. He handled the situation like a civilian. He's not fit to be an officer, and he hasn't been trained to de-escalate a situation. Hasn't any professional community social skills. Not at all. So, Roscoe said, yep, and ashamed to admit that to what they were in their original form. I was one, and I can admit to what it was and how it started. Absolutely. Kev, which one is this? You muted. What's this, Kev?
Hang on a second. Hang on a second.
No. Hey, Margaret.
I have to close out things on my screen, otherwise.
Yeah, because Eugene, you did good though. Kev, I want you to show that Instagram post. We can talk about that. Everybody, this is Real Talk Chronicles. I'm your host, Bill Foster, with my co-host Kevin Branzetti, Chuck Richards, and Richard Williams. We're coming here giving you the best situation we can. The conversation is, if anything, it's real. You may not like it, but it's real. Let's go to this.
Oh shit!
Yo!
No, bro. Chill. Brian, get up. Brian, leave. Holy shit.
Nigga, what the
Holy shit. Oh no. Holy fuck. Yo, it's because he's black. Racially motivated.
Kev, play it again. Play it again one more time.
Yeah. I was trying to listen to the dialogue.
I'll reiterate it.
Oh shit!
Yo!
No, bro. Chill. Brian, get up. Brian, leave. Holy shit.
Nigga, what the
Holy shit. Oh no. Holy fuck. Yo, it's because he's black. Racially motivated.
All right. In case anybody wants to see it again, I'll just hold it off screen, but I'll go to my panel with this. I'll start this off. First and foremost, this is the elephant in the room where you have two kids, young white guy, young black kid, 16, 14 years old. Kevin, I know you'll do your statistical research on this. The young white guy was picking on, I don't know if it was a young white boy or a young black guy or a young white girl. He was picking on somebody else. The black guy stood up for whomever he was picking on. They get into an altercation. White boy can fight. He wasn't scared. He was older, 2 years older, but still from 16 to 14, that can give you a big advantage. It's not like 36 to 32. It's a totally different game. So they was handling their business. What's the problem in the room is that the white officers, when they come, the first thing they do is arrest them. They put the black guy in cuffs and they sit the white boy down like, yo, he was the victim. This is why people have such a disdain for officers. That is the problem and this is about this conversation. What's up, Star? What's up, Sharon? How are you guys? How are you ladies doing? And this is what has people outraged and what just happened right now. The white boy is the instigator, the young white man, white boy, whatever you want to say, with the young black boy. and the black boy is defending whomever was in that crowd, and he gets cuffed, and the white officer goes over to him and is like, "Yo, you all right?" Like, and he's sitting there, damn near. I mean, first and foremost, you the black kid, you trying to hold your own. You kind of was losing, and then you get cuffed too. Like, like talk about have a bad day. Like that's crazy. Kev, what did you see? And then I'll go to Richard and I'll end it with Chuck, and then we can come back to that. You know.
Am I allowed to just stay silent and go, what the fuck? But you know, I've rewatched it a couple of times while you was talking.
Mm-hmm.
The white kid's on top of him.
Yeah, the white kid was handling his business.
If you're gonna cuff one, that's the one you cuff first.
Yeah.
Cuffing them both is all good. That's what we're supposed to do.
Yes.
Right. I could also understand if she sat him down and stayed with him and didn't cuff him, and the other cop did cuff him, and that's a discretionary thing on you breaking up two kids fighting. I cuff, you don't cuff. Fine. It doesn't look good, but fine. But then she goes to help cuff the black kid and never cuffs the white kid.
Exactly.
Who is clearly on. I watched the angle they came from. He was clearly the one on top.
Yep.
Like there's.
Fuck. Yeah, I know. You know this shit is fucked up. Kevin, man. Kevin used the curse word.
Yeah, what's wrong? You want some of that action, man?
Yeah.
You want to be a part of that? When you be the one to get cuffed.
I read stuff on it because the video stops, and I was wondering if it kept going and they just cut the video and like the white kid gets cuffed. He does not get cuffed. There is no extra video.
Yeah, but you do see the wrong in that, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay, so just imagine that's your life, you know, as a black man, that push come to shove in situations like that, you're the bad guy.
I miss Jerry.
Yo, because Jerry wasn't gonna take any of that shit. Jerry was gonna pass. Oh man. Let me read some comments real quick.
Where's Trooper Wingo when I need him? I gotta put him back on.
Let me read some comments real quick. Roscoe said that's what seems to happen, not all the time, but most of the time. Colin said even the little white girl said it's because he's black. Usually motivate them white cops. Veronica says, speak the truth, Bill. That's why we love you. Absolutely. Stefania says, that's that BS. Darren Joseph said, how is this officer not incarcerated yet? This is ridiculous. We could talk about that if you want to. Colin said, then they both put their knees on his back. Crazy. Absolutely, Colin. Darren said the kid actually put his hands up and she refused to cuff him. Yeah, she was like, nah, you don't belong in cuffs, guy. Nate. She was like, you don't belong in cuffs. Yeah, you're white. You don't. Why would I do that shit? You know what I'm saying? She's like, yo, I'll take you to Burger King. Nate Crawford said, Bill, honestly, if they knew that the other guy was Spanish, they would have assaulted him too. Facts. What was fortunate for the Spanish teen is that he looked white. It's obvious how police view people of color. We are always viewed as a threat. Absolutely. Roscoe said, we're not giving excuses to people who are there to keep the peace are the problem. Kids are kids. Treat them fairly and not with a bias. That's what people are tired of. Let me read the rest of it. Tired of. But that's what the forefathers intended. Sorry to say, cops were put in black communities to keep black people in line and remind them of who they are. No offense to Kevin Branzetti. Shout out. You know, Kevin, it's a love thing. But people like they feel sorry for speaking the truth, but then you got to hear it and shit.
Hey, Kev, you got a Burger King budget?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Shit. Ain't that some shit? Throw the flag, yo. Throw the flag. Shout out to T. Tawana O'Neill in the building, former 2-8. Brenda says, same ish, different day of people of color. Colin Clark said, hey, Stats, is this the first time seeing this video? Yeah. So, yo, Collins, you heard him? He was like, F this. He was tight. Shanta, she said, I'm glad to be back watching the show. Thank you, sis. My childhood sister. Stefani said the cops called the white kid by his name. I read that somewhere. Really? So they may have known him. Yeah, exactly. Nate said, I tagged you in the original video where the Spanish team was interviewed by the news afterwards. Oh, I can't wait to see this shit. Roscoe, I love you, Kevin. You're the man. Roscoe said, listen, everybody, and this is why I do love Kevin, because Kevin will call a spade when he or hard or club.
I won't use that phrase.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Rich. My bad. You know what I'm saying? I see you, Nitty, in the building. Everybody, this is Real Talk Chronicles. I'm your host, Bill Forster, with my co-hosts Kevin Branzetti, Chuck Richards, and Richard Williams in the building. This is what we do every Wednesday. We come and give you the real shit, man. The real skinny. It's real talk all day, every time. But listen, so it's obviously this young man is Spanish, but he favors of white descent, and got a little knuckle game. He was putting it on the brother. The brother was handling his business. They was trying to scuffle. Kevin, I don't know if you want to show us again, but the white officers came in. They was like, "Yo, get Jimmy, get Melquan, put him down, put him in cuffs." And what's so funny? And that's what's so happening. Like Colin said, the little white girl in the background was like, "Yo, racially motivated." Now that's what I say. This is the sad thing is when you losing and you still get cuffed. Like I guess if he goes said, "Damn, when I was winning, I get cuffed because I was whipping his ass." But he was like, "Damn, I'm losing," and Shanta said, "Bill and Kev, the next show you have should be about the talk." Meaning the talk that we've had to have with our sons for generations. We could talk about that all the time. Listen, anybody, anything y'all want me to have a conversation about, just put it in there. I'm trying to set up a lineup. I'm trying to set up a correction officers a segment that we can talk about things of that magnitude. We're trying to do some school teaching stuff. We're going to do an undercover segment of what it's like to be an undercover in the New York City Police Department. So I got some stuff I'm coming at you. And of course, all the times, always dealing with current events that hit the news. Listen, if it hits the news, it's on Real Talk. You know what it is. That's what we do. Anybody want to finish on that? Or we can go into the next topic. We good?
Nah, bro. I got nothing else to say about that. That's a speech for itself.
Kev, what else do you have in there? What about the officer, I think, that got acquitted, or they overturned his charges on shooting the autistic child? I just want to bring that up to speed. Go ahead. Everybody, this is Real Talk Chronicles. If you're watching it from YouTube, subscribe to it, please. We appreciate it. If you're watching it from Facebook, from whomever your carrier is, if it's Richard, Chuck, or Kevin, or myself, can you just go under the share button and share it to your own personal page so we can get more views and more sponsorship and more people to watch us and support us? Because that positivity is a hard thing. If you like what you're watching, don't be selfish on this. Don't be Fifth Avenue. Share this shit. You know what I'm saying? This is the one time I'm asking you to share this love. You know what I'm saying? Yo, don't keep us to yourself. This ain't no relationship. Share this love and shit. You know what I'm saying?
My man Kevin is like Ethan Hawke in Training Day and shit. You want some Denzel Washington shit?
Oh my God, hilarious! All right, now this is on serious note. This is about the officer in Miami. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, real quick. I'm just trying to go off the top of my head. That was his verdict was overturned, Kevin, I think, or something like that, in lieu of shooting the autistic child that had the toy in his hand. And his counselor or his guidance counselor was trying to talk to him, and I think they shot the counselor too. We'll read the caption and roll the tape real quick. Go ahead, Kev.
He's still facing westbound, and he starts going southbound. I start seeing him pulling the object up. Correct. So again, if you guys if the jury has my angle, you're viewing my shoulder come up. So I'm just viewing this, and I'm seeing him like start looking like he's pointing in the direction of Officer Crespo, who was at that pole when I last saw him.
Is that the picture in the video?
Yes, sir.
I don't know why I gave the video was with the article, Bill. Not much.
Yeah, no, that's why I just said. But listen, I just wanted to share that real quick. Anybody out? We can share it again. Kevin can show it if he wants to again. But I just wanted to say, what autistic child is going to hold a toy up like a gun and point it at another officer? And you know, so funny. We can talk about what you feel should happen to this officer or not officer, but the bottom line is, will there ever be an officer go on stand and say I effed up? I probably doubt that. See, that's the elephant in the room with me. I'm not going to say a toy can never look like a gun. I would never say that, and I can't tell you what his eyes saw from my eyes. But I think that job came over as it might have been. I don't know what the job came over, but I just think that the fact that an autistic man and then you have his counselor or his mentor out there in the street with him, and he's sitting on the ground, and then I think they both got shot, and then he shoots the man and kills him. I think it's kind of disheartening. I'll start with you, Rich, and then I'll go to Chuck, and I'll finish with Kevin on that. We don't have too many minutes left. Kevin got to get out of here in a few minutes, so please don't be long on your comments. Go ahead, Rich.
No, I mean, I wasn't too clear about the what happened, because I mean it was just a little testimony from the officer explaining how he pointed and shot. But I mean, I thought you were going to show footage on the actual.
Kevin, you have it. Kevin has it, Rich. All right.
I don't.
No, so Kevin has it. Kevin has it. You know, that's stats. Stats don't be playing. Listen, you ain't gonna never disrespect his name. I have it right now.
I thought you just did today. So.
No, I would never disrespect your name. I know who you are, son. I know your game. You know?
At him, hitting his unarmed caregiver.
And tonight, an update on the difficult journey that man with autism has been on since that date.
The family is now suing, saying that the group home where he's been living made up a story to kick him out after losing thousands of dollars in state money for his care.
NBC6 investigator Willard Shepard has the story you'll see only right here on 6.
December 15th. A 911 call is made from Orange County's Beachdale group home.
Here at my workplace, and the client here is very aggressive. Right now, we can't get we're not able to control him, and I fear for my life.
It's about Arnaldo Rios Soto, a 280-pound man with autism and the intellect of a child.
Right now, he is running through the house, making holes. Staff we're trying to see if we can calm him down, but his behavior is too aggressive that we can't get a hold of him.
Surveillance video from inside the group home shows that less than 30 minutes later, Arnaldo can be seen hugging a worker and heading to his room. 2 minutes later, another emergency call.
The client is getting more aggressive, punching more holes on the wall. We do fear for his safety.
At almost the same time, police got that call. A worker exits Arnaldo's room, but doesn't appear to request help. Another 40 minutes pass at the home, and a third call is made to 911 that Arnaldo is trying to strangle a staff member. The video does show him scuffling with a worker. Then another worker puts a mat on the floor. 2 men put Arnaldo down onto it and hold him there for at least 15 minutes until the first deputy arrives.
Arnaldo, cálmate. Sorry, no lies, sir. Hey, Carm, Arnaldo, ¿tú entiendes español? Oh, I remember him. He got it that morning today.
Another deputy arrives, while the other has Arnaldo sitting upright, consoling him as he cries.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
These are the latest difficult videos Arnaldo's family had to see. Miriam Rios is Arnaldo's sister.
It's just sad and disheartening.
Arnaldo had lived in the group home for a year and a half, one of several stops for him since his story went worldwide in 2016. That's when he sat in the middle of the street, his unarmed caregiver with his hands up next to him. A North Miami police officer fired shots at them, thinking the toy truck Arnaldo was holding was a gun. Now, the family has filed a lawsuit alleging the group home made up the emergency calls to remove him from the home.
The only reason why he was deemed to be unmanageable at that group home was for that group home to get more money.
Attorney Matt Dietz says just months earlier, the state had reduced the monthly payments for Arnaldo's care from $37,000 to $24,000. And he says an effort to legally evict him failed in court.
I still am baffled by the whole situation.
That day, Arnaldo was taken to the hospital and he never returned to the group home.
I feel like it was not handled appropriately and it was signs of negligence.
The group home's owner sent us a statement saying in part, the family repeatedly refused to help with proper placement for their son's care and are filing an unsubstantiated lawsuit. Beachdale told us the deputies decided to remove Rio Soto from the home, not them. He's now living at home with his family, but they say he really needs around-the-clock professional care.
My brother is the victim in the middle of that whole situation and he deserved better.
The State Agency for Persons with Disabilities investigated the videos and moved to strip the group home of its license, alleging in part that in this incident and one other, that they restrained him improperly.
So that wasn't the complete thing.
No,
the shooting itself.
What we're going to do, we're going to show that next week, Wednesday. I know, Kevin, you said you had to make a hard right at 9. So, Rich, Chuck, and then I'll close with Kev. Give us some positive affirmation. Definitely come back next week so we can talk about this. It's a sad situation. This officer, the whole elephant in the room is this officer is I think acquitted, or the charges were turned against a way that he is free now because he said he thought this autistic child was pointing a fire truck, or I guess a toy, at another officer, so he chose to shoot. BS to me. I'm not co-signing that. Give me, Rich, your thoughts, Chuck, and then Kev, go ahead, and then we'll come back next week on this.
So the video didn't show, the actual shooting, but the caregiver, what I saw, was on the ground, laying there with his hands up in the air, right? So if he was shooting at the kid because he had a truck, how did he wind up hitting the caregiver? That's one. And this type of stuff is familiar to me because I was a group home supervisor for 10 years, in a house with 12 kids, with kids bigger than that kid, And I know what the procedure is as far as, calling police. We rarely did that, Rarely.
Well, please enlighten us next week. Come back next week and enlighten us on what the procedure is.
Yeah, what it was. That was a long time ago. Things changed, but I can enlighten you on what it was.
Well, yeah, we'll do that. Okay, because when you said it, I thought you had the insight. I thought you was going to give me.
Hey, listen, this is like what? Almost 20 years ago.
But you threw out the credentials. I thought you was going with the professional.
Listen,
I say, yo,
that's like you were a cop 20 years ago.
Yo, don't tease me.
Changed.
Don't tease me. No,
I can tell you what it was. All I can do is tell you what it was.
But Rich, the bottom line is, and I will say this in all seriousness, how I policed, and Kevin and Chuck and I did our job has changed, but the laws haven't. So what I'm trying to say is that the rules may have not changed, the rules of engagement for when you were the supervisor. In lieu of that, they may have softened, because we know in our tenure, things have gotten very soft and lackadaisical. So that is a problem in certain things, because the bottom line is and let me just say this for Kevin, Chuck, and myself, and they can correct me if they feel differently. What I see out here today happening, and I say this over and over and over and over again, it would have never happened on my watch. It would have never happened. I'm not talking about officers getting shot. I'm not talking about that, because that's inevitable. You know, rest in peace to Detective Mora and Detective Rivera. That was an ambush. I'm not talking about that, but I'm talking about the disrespect, how officers are being treated now. But the thing is, you know, bad policing has been around for a long time, and it might have been around back then, even worse than it is now. You know what I'm saying? It just wasn't filmed and videotaped. But the thing is, you had officers like Kevin and Chuck and myself that we were the equalizers. We didn't treat you like that. You know, listen, I've scrapped with a lot of cats. Once the cuffs came on, it was like, yo, it's over. It's over. Now, when I get you to the cell, if you want it back on, it's back on again. But trust me, I'm saying it's over. If you want it back on, it's on. But now it's going to get worse, because now you got more people that's going to help me. Before it was fair. It was me and you. You know what I'm saying? But it's you know what I'm saying? Yeah, because in the cells, it's pile on a rabbit. When we was in the street, you got me, and that was enough. Now you get in the cells and you get all the motherfuckers that it's not gonna let anything happen to me, whether they like me or not. That's the one thing. When you got that blue uniform on, whether they like you, speak to you or not, let me tell you something. I've always said this. I've never understood an officer that didn't speak to you, but he'll back you up in the street. It baffles me. But the thing is, that's what it is. And that's why sometimes the rhetoric and the BS and the hypocrisy I can't entertain, because I've worked in a building that you could walk past somebody and they not even speak to you. But then they talk about, I see them on posts talking about, oh, Blue Lives Matter. I love my police officers. Dog, you don't love your black police officers. So how do you love police officers? So knock it off. So I say all that to say, Rich, certain things have changed over the years. That's why I want to get correctional officers on here to talk about what's happening in the cells, because everything has gotten very soft. We watch sports, Kevin, hockey, football, everything, basketball. We watch everything is soft now compared to us, especially our age group. Listen, everything is pity pat and give a dog a bone, yo. I don't get it. You know what I'm saying?
Jerry was not stealing our police car.
Oh no! Oh, listen. No. Jerry would have got stomped out in that mud. You know what I'm saying? Jerry would have got stomped out in that mud.
Jerry wasn't stealing our police car.
And then I would have slapped his wife just for dating that sick son of a gun.
I asked him for a copy of the video because we would have shown it to Mustang.
Y'all gotta leave Jerry alone, man. Jerry went for his.
No, Jerry was official, ass out and everything. Jerry was about his business. Let me tell you something. I'm afraid if Jerry would have had another beer, what would he have done? Oh my God, another Coors Light.
Jerry was motivated with the fact that he knew that he was a white man. You know, y'all wasn't shooting.
And yo, you saw her melatonin voice, Jerry. You gotta stop, Jerry. You're gonna get hurt, Jerry.
What do you think drove the man nuts?
Well, listen, Jerry was handling business. Jerry was not having it. He was like a superhero. Yo, Rich, give us some positive affirmation before we get out of here. Chuck, Kevin, let's get out of here. Go ahead, man. I know Kevin got to go.
The positive thing about all of this is that we're able to talk about it and try to come to some kind of solutions to this, because until you put it on the table, make it all transparent and stop acting like it's not what it is, it's nothing going to change. We're talking on here about issues that can be changed, and we got to direct it to the people that can make that happen. But it starts with us, we got to start making a positive change within ourselves, and then that spills on to other people. And I'm just appreciative of you guys letting me on this show where I can crack jokes on a white guy like Kevin. a white cop and not get arrested.
Arrested? You're gonna get shot.
Yeah, right? Exactly. Exactly. Oh. But you know what's so funny? In fairness, and Kevin can tell you this, and Chuck can definitely tell you this. This was every day in the precinct, bro.
Yeah.
This was every day in the precinct. Let me tell you something. If they would have had a videotape of what we used to say to each other in the precinct, we all would have lost our jobs.
Absolutely.
The racial jokes, the disrespect. But let me tell you something. It was done behind a laugh, and we all laughed together because it was fair. Listen, what we called each other and what we said was, listen, oh my God. Listen, Kevin, Chuck, and I, we can't even repeat the things that were said. No, listen, we can't.
No,
we can't.
I'll never have a job again.
No, we listen. We probably get banned from right now on social media. The fact that I was saying things that we think we could say, and that is lost. That is lost in a thing like that. That's why I think we all love Dave Chappelle, because he gives us an old school flavor on comedy, even though people want to censor him. And he doesn't care. He says what he says. He believes what he believes. But all he's doing is giving us 1980s and 1990s comedy and early 2000s. So, yeah, Chuck, close us out with some stuff, brother.
But like I said before, it's always a pleasure, and I feel blessed to be a part of this panel, get over and shoot the shit with you cats, man. This is great. Once again, like what Richard said, and like we always say, it's all about getting in a room and being able to have an open dialogue, but also being able to agree to disagree with one another. I mean, I think that's real the premise, that we can have various values and thoughts and morals about what we speak and what we're talking about, but we have to be in a position that we feel comfortable agreeing to disagree, and then not holding anyone in contempt because of their thoughts or their feelings. I mean, of course, there's certain lines we don't want to cross, or certain boundaries. You don't want to start using racial epithets and calling people all types of crazy names, other than talk about their noses and shit. But either outside of that, you got
hilarious.
Other than that, man. Other than that, well, man, I'm just saying, Yo, I got nothing love for you, Cat. I got nothing but love for you, Brady. You know that, man.
Yo, Chuck, I tell people all the time. People always say, what police shows remind you of what police life is really like? And I say Barney Miller. That was the only show that, like, listen, we're not talking about the action.
You dating yourself now. You dating yourself.
Yeah. But listen, Barney Miller it was cynical. You know what I'm saying? I can't front. I was the Ron Glass, but you had an Abe Vigoda, you had a Barney Miller, you had another guy, the other Wojciech Hoax or whatever. You had they covered all the bases of police work and how it was working in a squad or just working in a precinct. You said what you wanted to say. The Abe Vigoda was the most cynical person. And we, Kev, Chuck, and I, we all work with that one cynical person. You couldn't we called him a hairbag. You couldn't make him happy no matter what you did. Yo, Johnny, you want the day off? Yeah, I'll take it. You know what I'm saying? Well, wait a minute. You got the day off. You don't have to go to the detail. Yeah. So now I got to go home and be with my wife. Well, what the hell you want? Like, I don't know what the fuck to do for you, dude. You know what I'm saying? No, you don't want to work the holiday.
You ready?
It's given for you. Yeah, but now I got to be home with the kids and then shit to do. Okay, you know what I'm saying? You want a Christmas? No, I want the overtime. So you want to work it? Nah, I don't like that boss. Okay, don't work it. I work it. Listen, listen, I don't want to work with that officer. I don't want to do I don't want to work that sector. What the hell do you want, money? Good night, everybody. Yo, listen.
We're gonna go to the Gong Show.
Yeah, exactly.
We're gonna get you the hook. Pull them off the stage.
Kev, close us out, bro. Kev,
good, Kev.
You know, look, my thing is always take a break, get off social media, spend some time with your family, friends. Running naked with the wolves, as Chuck likes to do.
And you up in the mountains with the bears.
Up in the mountains, it regenerates me. It gives me time to just cool down. More importantly, if anybody else knows some fellow Sicilians that want to join us next week, I can use a partner.
No, yeah, listen, please, if anybody has any white friends, listen,
now I'm white.
Well, I don't know what the hell you are, Kevin. I don't know. I asked you what you're Italian. I never told you that. I've never seen a redhead Italian, so I don't know what the hell I'm gonna ask you. You know what I'm saying? Branzetti, you got the deep.
No, he's Irish.
I'm a lot of things, dude.
Yeah, I know. but listen, honestly, I commend Kevin for standing in here, taking all the punches, and he takes the uppercuts and he takes the body blows, and he falls all the time with it. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes he ducks and he runs. You know what I'm saying? He definitely do the little, the single white female. He running his ass in the corner.
Nah, that's my man Ethan Hawke there, boy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but listen, exactly. He's a wolf. Oh. Not a no, but listen, anybody, any white officer, any white person, any Latin person, listen, the olive branch is extended. I get it. Sometimes you in the comfort of your zone and you don't want, you're in your pajamas, but sometimes we 2 hours strong, and listen, we trying to make change. And don't sit here and inbox me about the BS and talk about this and that and stuff like that, because the beautiful thing is I appreciate all my information givers. Shout out to all my information givers. Malika will tell you, sometimes I'm reading stuff that I am given and people will say, do you see it? Did you hear it? I appreciate it all. People will tell you, Chuck and Kevin will tell you, we got our own personal chat where we share information to each other daily, over and over information. And we just think about, are we going to discuss it? What do we feel about it? I share information. I started sharing information with Richard. So listen, it's all about giving you the best content Real Talk Chronicles can give you. We appreciate you. If anything you can do, you can be real. That's the best thing you can be in life. Be real. And if you can't be real, then don't be anything at all. Just stay in the corners. Mind your business, man. Listen, next Wednesday, we back at it again. But of course, Monday, I have Melba Wilson on. Special edition time, 8 o'clock, celebrating Melba Wilson, talking about her restaurateurship and how she's grown to epic proportion success. That next Monday, I have Leon Ellis, the owner of Chocolat. He will be with us. Then the following Monday, of course, I have Assemblyman Al Taylor. We have a special guest, whomever they're bringing in. I don't want to tell you right now. And then Wednesday, of course, I'm with Chuck and Kevin and Rich. Of course, if he wants to be back, I know he does. Shout out to all. We're going to set up some things for correction officers, undercover officers. So we have some things that I'm going to have to line up. I just have to put the schedule together. Just give me a little minute with that. And then I'm going to do a special promoters, Legends and Promotions event. And I'm going to do Melvin Francis, Lincoln Sessons, and Sam Tuga on the 3rd of March. A special promotions leg. For those that don't know, I was one of the top event planners in the city at one point. So I have to pay homage to those. I got Sparkle Entertainment on the tap. I'm waiting for Roland Lewis and Al Francis to reach out to me. I want to get for all the people, Jimmy Holloway, the Dow Twins. I'm gonna get all the legends. And
what about my man Scotty Flash?
He'll come too. When I find him across. There's so many, Rich. There's so many people to get. So this is going to take us for a year. There's just so many. I've done the DJs. I've done the promotions. I'm going to also be doing something with the Deadly Arts of Survival magazine. There's so many things I got going on right now. I'm blessed. I appreciate you all for the support and love. Share it. Subscribe to it. This is Real Talk Chronicles for Richard Williams, Chuck and Richards, Kevin Branzetti. I'm Bill Forster with my lovely wife, Malika Forster, in the back. Listen, I hope your Valentine's was good, whatever it meant to you. Happy whatever days is coming up, History Month. Just love yourself.
All right, say goodnight already.
No.
Come on, wait.
I'm like an old school lyricist. Oh my God. Give me the mic. I don't want to drop it. Good night, everybody.
Good night. Good night.
Good night. I'm an old school lyricist.
Good night.